What is up, guys, and welcome to another episode of Guarani Vision, the first ever podcast dedicated to Paraguayan football in English. As always, I'm Roberto Rojas, and joining me are my two great co-hosts, Ralph Hannah and Maria Britos. And guys, it's kind of a shame that we're not in Paraguay at the moment, because I think for someone that's not even on the show today, and that's Fede Perez, I'm sure he's enjoying the mood, really, because, we like to talk about what's been going on in the league, in the national team, and everything that's going on with our Paraguayan players abroad, but I think it's really taken a back seat, and we spoke about this right before the start of the show, how the ODESUR, the South American games in Paraguay are on their way. It's really the first big event that the nation is hosting to the majority of, I wouldn't say the world, but definitely to Latin America, since they hosted the Copa America back in 1999. So it's been over 20 years since they've been able to have an event, and from what I've seen, people are getting excited about these different sports that are going on. The mascot, I think, is becoming the big talking point, really, over the players and even those that are in huge political positions as well. It seems like Chirica is really the only talking point here, and hey, I wouldn't be surprised if he becomes a candidate, or at least a writing candidate for president next year. But no, it's been good to see a lot of Paraguayans feeling excited about really this kind of big event, and I'll jump into here with my co-host and Ralph, because I think, you've been following it. I've been following it as well. Maria has been as well. And it's been really amazing to see this kind of enthusiasm towards this event, and how, it hasn't been perfect. I think in the traditional Paraguayan way, there's always some sort of chaos occurring. But from the most part, and I think from what people are being able to see, it's been pretty much a wonderful event. And of course, for Paraguay's case, they've been able to get a lot of medals so far in these games.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, I was in Paraguay in, I think, when was it? June, July, and people were kind of talking about it coming up, but almost with a sense of dread, because, to be honest, things hadn't been getting finished or completed. They had to get rid of the sports minister, and get somebody else new in, and so people were like a bit concerned that when it gets to the event, it could be an embarrassment for the country rather than a time of celebration. But they managed to get everything done at the last minute, and now it looks like everybody has accepted this kind of with open arms, and it's very rare to see Paraguay, such a football mad nation, involved in so many different sports. So we had, women's rowing, we got a gold medal, or there were things like 3x3 basketball that we did very well in. So all these kind of things that you don't usually expect Paraguayans to be into, everything sold out, is past sold out. Some things are free, other things are 10,000 guaraníes, which is like $1.50. So people have been flocking to the different venues. It's been great atmospheres. Last night, the Paraguayan beach soccer team won the gold medal, and that was in front of like a huge crowd. They won 11-4 against Peru, so no problems there. And some people would say, well, Brazil didn't turn up, which is true, but that same Paraguay beach soccer team had beaten Brazil in the Copa America. So it's one of the best teams in the world, which is pretty cool for a landlocked country. And then also yesterday we had in the under-20s, Paraguay scored a last-minute equalizer against Uruguay, and the crowd in the like makeshift stand, because it's a very small stand built for this tournament, they were going wild as well, and huge celebrations. Actually, Diego Gomez of Libertad gets sent off because of his over celebrating to the opposition. But I think that kind of fervor is what we're seeing in Asuncion and around the country, because there's some other venues being used. So it's a great time. I think people are having a lot of fun, and also I think it's a brilliant, you mentioned it's the first time since the Copa America 99 that Paraguay hosts the tournament. So you get like a whole new generation interested in lots of sports, and not just football, right? I know we concentrate on that too here, but in lots of different sports. So it's been great fun.
I've been following up a little bit on this on the ODESUR, and I think it's really cool because it puts our country out there again. There's been some scandals, there's been some drama, but what is Paraguay sports without drama? So I think it's been pretty good, a pretty good turnout in my opinion. A lot of good athletes that we have in sports that I'd never thought we'd be good at, and then having some golds here and there. It's just an honor for them to represent our country and put us out there and make us look proud, you know. I think everyone has been excited about this. It looks like they're having a good time. You know, I think it's great that Paraguay has been so good at beach sports. You know, they've always been good at beach soccer, and like Ralph said, which is great for a landlocked country. I think they've also always been good at beach volleyball. And ever since I can remember, I think that they've always been good at any kind of beach sport, which is really awesome for being a country with no, you know, with no sand, with no real beaches out there. But yeah, I think it's a great opportunity for Paraguay to showcase what they really can do, and hopefully, you know, um, they can do other tournaments in the future. You know, not just smaller tournaments like this one, but maybe another Copa America, like they did in the 90s. Maybe, you know, future World Cup one day, which I think they are. Yeah, they are asking for that. So we'll see. Maybe this happens. But yeah, I'm really happy for everyone that's been participating and making us look good.
Well, I was about to say that, and actually, that's actually a good point that you made, Maria, because I think, you know, obviously they are, or they want to get the World Cup in 2030. Obviously, it'll be different because it'll be with Argentina and Uruguay and I think Chile, if I'm not mistaken. So, yeah, I think something like this, and I'm sure that people, and, you know, be it FIFA or anyone that's kind of looking at these kind of like decisions, I think are looking at these type of tournaments. It doesn't matter if it's really involved in football; it could be anything. And I think they're starting to look at, you know, how good we can host a big tournament. And it's different. I think it really is different when you look at tournaments like these compared to a Copa America or a World Cup, because the country's so small, and so with so many limited facilities, it's difficult for them to do a big tournament like, you know, a World Cup or even an Olympics by itself. But, you know, something like a South American Games, maybe a Pan Am Games as well, if they get that in the future. I think that allows them to really showcase themselves and say, hey, you know, we can pull out events like this. And I think as the country continues to develop and get more advanced, and, you know, hopefully that means that more investment is given to these type of things. I think it shows that, you know, maybe this thing that we're seeing in Paraguay is not a one-off thing, that, you know, hopefully in the future, again, hopefully not a generation like people had to deal with the Copa America in 99, but certainly hopefully that tournaments like those and the big sporting events could indeed happen in the country. So yeah, I mean, it's been good to see, but I'm curious to see what you guys think about the mascot, Chirica. Maria, I'm sure you've seen the videos and the TikToks and, you know, all these kind of viral things. I don't know why people would say it's so scary. I think it looks adorable, and I think a lot of people are seeing like it's kind of Chirica mania, really, how like everyone's getting like their plush dolls and using it. Some people even want to use it politically, which I think is a completely different landscape to it. But I think I think he's been the sensation, really, and kind of the most
Right.
popular person in Paraguay at the moment.
I love him. I think he's really funny. I have a thing for mascots. I love them. I think they're hilarious. One of my favorites, it's Bernie from Miami Heat. We actually named our dog after him. So I love mascots, and I think that what this mascot is doing is putting a little bit of joy and happiness into our country. And I think he's doing a great job. He's got some great moves. He's a good dancer from what I've seen.
Although I'm
And
not convinced it's this. Are you all convinced it's the same one? Because I feel like, you know,
it's
there's
probably not.
the
It's
fact that
probably not.
the fact that he's doing all of these kind of stunts. It feels like, no,
Yeah.
this can't be all one
Don't
person.
Right.
don't
He's
spoil the magic,
skating,
guys.
dancing. Yeah, yeah. You think it's one person, but it's probably a different, you know, a different one. But either way, it's one mascot, and I think that's I really like that they put emphasis on that. It puts a different vibe into the whole competition. And I wanted to point out something else, which I really, one of my favorite sports in this whole competition has been skating. And I've always been a fan of skating. I used to skate when I was a little kid, and just to see that we had such a good skater. I believe her name is Erika Alarcón, that she won a gold medal, and she had such a great performance. Her routine was just amazing, and I felt very proud of that moment because we've always, I think, struggled with skating. We don't have ice skating like they do here and like they do in the Olympics, but we have roller skating, the four-wheel roller skating. And I thought that was very nice of her to put us out there and make us look good.
Yeah, I'll give you a quick thing about roller skating. So my nephew is actually under 15 South American champion. So there you go. He won
That's awesome.
in
That's
San
awesome.
Juan, Argentina, like back in May, I think. And he skates, interestingly, to bring it back to soccer, he skates and practices at the same place that Roque Santa Cruz's daughter has just started. So there you go. Knowing Roque Santa Cruz's talent and his family's talent, remember his brother played as well at the top level. So maybe his daughter's going to be a future gold
What
medalist.
team did he skate for?
No. This is like they're an academy in.
Oh, okay, yeah. Do you know which one?
Oh, I have to check the name. I'll have to find out.
Okay.
But it's near Paseo de Galeria, that kind of area of Asuncion. But yeah, about Tirika, guys. I mean, it's not confirmed if it's you keep saying he, but it's gender neutral. No one knows yet if Tirika's a boy or a girl. What Tirika means is a Guarani name for, I guess, like mountain lion, a gato montes, which is an endangered species in the Chaco, and so that's also part of the reason for choosing this mascot was also for conservation efforts in Paraguay, and he or she has been doing all the different sports, but there was a video that got leaked of two of them in the same place at the same time. So either there's a multiverse or there's more than one mascot. So there's some of the Tirika mystery. But what we really want to see is who's under that costume, right? It might turn out it could be a famous athlete because they are very good at a lot of sports. I've been very impressed.
Hopefully that once the tournament ends, the games end, that there's kind of like this big reveal and it seems to be like some famous person that is under there, and that would be so amazing to see. Yeah, I mean, I guess we don't want to really stick into the ODESUR and this really kind of thing for too much long, but I just want your thoughts on like last minute things about your impressions of all this. I mean, certainly there's still another more week until the end of the games, so we'll get an opportunity to see more sports and more people compete as well. I mean, honestly, I think the games as a whole has been a success, and I think we see that in social media. We see that in the enthusiasm of the fans going there. It almost seems as if though, at least from what we saw even yesterday from the beach soccer team winning gold, they've impressed us more than really the national team and even some clubs as well. Rob, I mean, it seems like the Punandi, which means the correct me if I'm wrong, the without feet, without shoes or something.
Bare feet.
Yeah, bare feet. There we go. Yeah, that makes sense. It's they're kind of the heartthrobs, I guess, in Paraguayan football at the moment.
Yeah. Lots of the memes going around, right, are about why did we spend all our time watching the Albiroca when we had the Punandi? So they're very popular, and it's worth pointing out as we're going to talk about league action. I mean, the Primera's been going on at the same time, but the crowds of 4,000, 5,000 for the ODESUR is much bigger than the draw that the top league has been getting, and we're in a really good title race. So I think it shows how much the games have captured the imagination. And then there's about a week to go. I mean, I think there's hopes in a few things. You have Dani Vallejo, who's the #1 young tennis player in the world, like ranked #1. So I'm sure he's got a good chance of a medal. We got Zainotti and Carlos Franco in golf, who are pretty good. So we have a few more chances for medals. And then for the under-20s is interesting because there's a few players we've talked about on this show before, like Diego Gomez of Libertad. Well, now he just got suspended with that red card. Fernando Avelar, who famously scored at 14 in the Clásico for Cerro, and so he's in that squad. Matias Segovia, who I think we've mentioned a couple of times for Guarani, an up-and-coming player. He's also been chosen. It's not the best under-20 squad, because we're going to see that in January for the Sudamericano, but definitely they've got some players there. And the person really making headlines is Alan Wilk, who's a very interesting player. He's from Olympia, plays like as a striker, but hasn't been called up by Julio Cesar Cáceres yet for the senior team, but he scored a hat-trick in his first game. He got the equalizer in the last game. And that surname Wilk is spelled W-L-K, which is very strange. So I spoke to his dad to try and understand, and they are from, I think, from Czechoslovakia and Austria-Hungary Empire, that kind of, that's where their descendants are from. They went to Colonia Independencia in Guairá, which is a very famous, mostly German community in Paraguay. And then from there, they now live in Asunción. So that was a cool story about him. But watch out for this guy, Alan Wilk, because those big number 9 strikers are very hard to come by, as I think we've been talking about with the national team. But he's doing it at under 20s level, and he had done before at under 17s. So that's interesting. And we got a couple more games in that tournament to come.
Yeah, definitely, Maria. I just want your thoughts really on this whole thing, and just I'm sure it's been proud to see, honestly, as a Paraguayan, or those that have a huge connection to Paraguay like Ralph does. I think it's really amazing to see, kind of, for a country that's going through a lot politically, and how, there's so many problems going, the fact that everyone seems to be now united in this kind of event and these type of games is really comforting to see.
Yeah, that's true. Like I was saying earlier, I think it puts our country up top, and just telling the whole world, hey, look what we can do, put us as candidate for future events. And I think that's great. I also think that most of these athletes are probably getting a sense of what the Olympics can be. And, we've had our Olympics team as well, but hopefully a lot of these athletes can also go from here onto the next Olympics, and really compete out there in the world, and show what we can really do. So it's just a step forward for us, and I think it's a good thing. Thankfully, everything has been going well. There's been a few issues here and there, but like I said, what is Paraguay sports without drama?
There's always something. It's never flawless over there in Paraguay, as we always are accustomed to. So, but nevertheless, it's been good to see how they've been doing over there at the ODESUR. As we switch gears now to the kind of the second tier event, as Ralph wanted to mention, is obviously we still have a race, and we still have a race that I think comes in a good spot at the moment, because obviously as we speak, Cerro Porteño and Nacional are leading the way, both on 34 points, with Cerro with a +4 goal difference. And they were able to get some results over the weekend, and over the last few days, and kind of in a dramatic sense, Cerro Porteño getting a 2-1 win thanks to a Espinola last minute goal back on Wednesday, and then Nacional getting 3 goals against Sol de America, scored 2 in a thrilling game over there in Villa Elisa. And Ralph, I think this sets up perfectly well now between these two, heading into their big clash on Monday, because certainly I think for the neutral senses and anyone that is following this competition, this is the game that could indeed decide the title. I mean, it's crazy to think that way, but I think it might be that case between these two sides. So certainly for Cerro Nacional, this is the big one that they have circled for this Clausura race.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, I think the last time we spoke on here on the podcast, we knew they both had these 2 games coming up against teams they should beat, and they've ended up doing the job and getting the 6 points, both of them. But this last week was these midweek games were very difficult, right? Nacional were losing 2-1 because Santiago Salcedo, who's 41 years old, managed to score twice in the first half for Sol and really surprise them. And Nacional were already thinking ahead to Monday's game with Cerro. They didn't play Facundo Bruera, the top scorer. He was on the bench. He has to come off and his impact, he doesn't score, but his impact and presence helped them in that second period as they managed to turn the game around. And Cerro is the same thing. I mean, they got pegged back by Emiliano. It's very rare to see Cerro concede goals at home. They're just so used to winning 1-0. And in fact, Nacional have been doing similar. But for Cerro, it was rare to be in that position where you have to find a goal, a second goal, and late on. Luckily, a lot of players are coming back. You have Mateos Gonçalves, who's come back from the doping ban. He served his 1-year doping ban. He's playing again. You have Claudio Aquino back from pneumonia. So you have these two very key attacking players that came on. But really, I think the standout player for Cerro, and somebody that Nacional needs to watch out for on Monday, has been Alan Rodriguez, the left back. He's provided 5 assists in the last 5 games. It was his corner that the Beto Espinola flicks on and in that match for the winner. And he's an interesting player because as a fullback, he doesn't really take players on, and he's not even the best defensively, but he's got such a good cross and such a good, a dangerous kind of, if you give him any space, and Cerro often work out space for themselves, that teams have found it hard to deal with. And then Cerro have so much attacking threat in the air. So Beto Espinola scored, but you have Marcelo Moreno Martins, you have Brian Zamudio, who's been scoring headers, and then you have Patiño as well, and Duarte, the centre backs. So there's a lot to watch out for. So I think for Nacional, thinking ahead to this game, a lot is going to be how do they stop things like set pieces and balls into the box.
It's gonna be.
Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I think it's gonna be definitely a clash of the Titans because it's a very tight race. They're both at 34 points, pretty much head to head with everything. I think they even have same amount of winning games, losing games, a few difference in the streaks of winning games. So it would really just depend on who has the better luck and who has been preparing for this the best. I think obviously for obvious reasons, Cerro Porteño has probably a better lead and probably a better chance to win this. So I'm gonna go ahead already and give myself a little bit of I'm gonna say what I think is gonna happen, prediction, and then I think that Cerro Porteño is probably gonna take this and win this against Nacional. I think they, like Ralph has said, a lot of their key players have been coming back, and that really puts them out there and gives them a better chance to perform better. And when it comes to tight races, I think Cerro Porteño always does well. So I don't see any other reason for them to lose this one.
Yeah, I think and I'll even put in my prediction as well. I think Cerro Porteño have definitely been kind of the side that, is always a bit frustrating to see because it always seems like they're out for a title push and then they fall back, but then they always find a way to club back into this one. And I think when it comes to a game like this, where I think could indeed set a precedent and really could indeed be the game that could decide this league title. I mean, obviously we still have a lot more weeks to go, but I think for these type of matches, and I think what we've seen from Cerro has been in getting the results that they need in these type of big games that really matter. So I think for them, and I think this isn't to underestimate Nacional, because I think they've done well and they've been able to punch above their weight and really be a side that is indeed competitive and can indeed surprise a lot. So I think we'll see a really tight game, and I will say Cerro will win this one. I'll even give you a score for this one if I'll be as bold as that, and I'll say that Cerro will win it just at the end there, and I'd say 2-1 for the Ciclón in this game.
Yeah, I can see Cerro winning like a tight game. I was thinking 1-0. I was just checking actually the recent results. They drew 0-0 earlier this season. Apertura Cerro won 1-0. They had won 3-2. But I remember, I think that was the very beginning of the season, so it's kind of a strange match. But looking at the title run, I mean, don't forget Cerro play this game on Monday, and then on the Sunday they have the Clásico against Olimpia. So for Cerro, it's like all coming up, and they both still have to play Libertad. But then I was looking, it's really interesting. Nacional's last game of the season is against Olimpia. So they could be in this curious position of Olimpia where they might want to let Nacional win so Cerro don't get the title, which way back in 2011, Cerro wanted to lose to Nacional to make sure that Nacional won the title ahead of Olimpia. So you can see how history is repeating himself. So that's very, we'll see how that kind of goes. Obviously, in Olympia's case, it depends how they're doing for and how safe they feel for Libertadores qualifications, Americanos, all that kind of stuff. But there's still time to go. We got 7 games. There's still things could happen. I don't know if the winner of this game on Monday necessarily is the champion because of those matches with Libertad and Olimpia that they both face. There's certainly points that can be dropped along the way. Although for now, I mean, both of them, what they've been so good at is just grinding out results. Even when they're not playing very well, they manage to get the wins.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's going to be really a big matchup that I think a lot of people need to see. And certainly, yeah, I agree. I think, you know, it isn't to say that this game is indeed the title decider, but certainly it could indeed set up for, you know, future games and to really see how these sides compare out against the other teams, because I think, you know, I personally think it'll still go to the end. I've been saying that for quite some time, and I think it's still going to be tight until the end of the Clausura race. So we'll see what happens there. But I think that, you know, regardless of what happens, we should see a really good game. And I think these two teams are the ones that stand out between each other. So yeah, we'll definitely see what happens between them until now. And as we switch gears and then close it here for another great episode of Guarani Vision. So for myself, Roberto Rojas, Maria Britos, and Ralph Hannah, thank you so much for listening in. See you soon.